counties as we speak. So the more we get into, I would say, the heat of the day or the early part of the afternoon, the more we're going to have a little bit more of that energy to kind of fuel a better rain and storm opportunity for us. Because once you start getting a couple of those thunderstorms mixing in, it's those storms that can produce some of the higher rainfall totals as we continue on through the next couple of hours. And if you see multiple rounds of this activity or you get a really slow moving shower or storm, it has that better potential to potentially give you a little bit of that heavier rain, which could then lead to some of those flooding concerns later today. I do want to highlight the severe risk, not necessarily because it's the greatest in our area, the area of low pressure that's going to give a better opportunity for strong to severe storms. That's going to be out towards Chicago later today, but all of Northeast Ohio is painted under this level 1 out of 5 risk, which basically just means 1 or 2 storms could become strong to severe. Gusty winds would be our primary concern there. But really, what we're going to be watching very closely this afternoon is that increased threat that we could have some of that ponding and a little bit of flooding possible as we continue into this afternoon. You'll see a lot of Northeast Ohio painted under that level 2 out of 4 risk, and that's because some rainfall totals later today could be in that 2 to 4 inch range. That should be relatively isolated in spots. But again, that's what we're going to be watching. Some of the lighter rain moving through our eastern counties now. So Cleveland getting a little bit of that rain earlier this morning. Men are out towards Chardon. If you're headed farther to the west, this is where you're going to run into some of those better storms. A lot of the stormy activity headed up towards the islands and Sandusky as we speak. So that's where the greatest activity is now. But we still have some of that heavier rain that's likely going to move through the western side of Cuyahoga County, at least over the next hour or so. So we'll walk you through all of this hour by hour data to kind of get you through this afternoon coming up here in just a few minutes. That 19 First Alert weather app, our team is always updating that video. So as we get new data coming in, we're giving it to you. Even if we're not necessarily on the air at that specific time, you will always have that latest data right there at your fingertips. So we are tracking a 19 First Alert weather day for today, and we're going to last it through this evening just because I think it's going to take until closer to maybe 10 o'clock tonight before we really start to see some of these showers exiting our area. And when you look at your rain tracker, you can see it's probably going to be feast or famine for a lot of folks. Some folks may get closer to 1/4 of an inch of rain today. Others may be more so in the ballpark of, say, 1.5 inches, 2, maybe even 4 inches of rain. We can't rule that out because of how much moisture is essentially sitting in our atmosphere, and it's fueling all these scattered showers and storms that we've seen. This isn't out ahead of the cold front just yet. That area of low pressure is actually still out in Iowa. So we have a lot of time before that cold front makes its way our direction, which means all that humidity is basically staying put. And as you get a little bit more of that daytime heating, yes, even despite some of those clouds, it's going to fuel some of these heavier downpours, just like what we're seeing across some of our western counties this morning. Now, this is moving, so that's the good news. It's moving to the northeast about 30 miles per hour or so. So this will put this line of showers and storms into Sandusky here within the next 5 minutes. LaGrange just ahead of 11:30, out towards Elyria about 11:45 or so, and then out towards Parma just after the noon hour. And again, these are pretty hefty downpours. They're going to be very efficient in producing some of that heavier rain. And where we have some of those higher rainfall rates, it's usually where you have a little bit better organization. So we've seen a couple lightning strikes popping up just to the south of the Wellington area, just west of Chatham. And then as you go out to our west, this is really where we've seen the more robust thunderstorms so far this morning. Nothing severe, so that's good news for us, but I can't necessarily guarantee that's going to remain the case headed into the later part of today. You'll see temperatures really don't budge a whole lot into the lower 80s. That's pretty much where I think we're going to stay, just given how much rain is out there. But it's still going to be warm enough that you have enough energy to keep some of those heavier downpours going into tonight. Again, I think it's going to take until closer to about 9, 10 o'clock tonight before most of this heavy rain's clearing out of here, and we may actually sit relatively quiet into the overnight. But that said, could mean we still have that cold front coming through tomorrow, which could spark a few isolated showers. Coverage, though, not anticipated to be what we're seeing out there today. It's just a reminder that rain gear still may be needed headed into tomorrow. We will clear things out pretty efficiently by Friday, and then get ready. We've got another system on the way this weekend that will bring another widespread opportunity for rain, even a few thunderstorms. We'll talk a little bit more about your weekend forecast coming up here in the next half hour.